How you doing, everybody? All right. First thing, I used part of my 8 minutes. Bro, deep, man, deep. So, a couple things, and I want to just piggyback on what Nirvan was saying. My name is Steve Gross. I'm with Life is Good. Y'all know Life is Good? Like, t-shirt company. But everyone at Life is Good would tell you nobody at Life is Good is passionate about t-shirts. T-shirts are a vehicle for one thing, which is to spread the power of optimism. And so part of our work is we have a nonprofit foundation called the Life is Good Playmakers. And the Life is Good Playmakers is about how do we help ensure that every child gets to grow up feeling safe, not just physically, but emotionally, socially, loved and joyful. And that if you grow up feeling safe, loved, and joyful, big things will happen. I want to piggyback on two things that you said. Number one is every child needs space. It's really big. Space, not just physical space, but a place, a safe, loving, joyful environment where they can create. Because if you don't have safety, physical, social, emotional, it is really tough to create. We call those spaces oasis, an oasis where it's safe, where you feel loved, and where you feel joyful. And I want to share a couple of quick stories. So one of them takes place in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And it's a preschool classroom, and there's 90 kids and one teacher. And it's after the earthquake, and it's packed. And I was there because we were doing some work with Haitian care providers that were known in Haiti as the Guerriers Joie, which stands for Joy Warriors. And their goal was how do we create environments where children feel safe, loved, and joyful in environments that are really challenging. And so I was in this classroom in Haiti, and there's beautiful kids, and they're all excited, and I'm supposed to stay out of the way, but I'm not great at staying out of the way. And so I just see one little beautiful girl, and I say, bonjour, and I get a fist bump. And another little girl sees me give her a fist bump, and she says, bonjour, and she gives me a fist bump. Then her friend sees that, and so her friend gives me a fist bump. And before we know it, we got a whole crowd of kids trying to give me a fist bump. And they got this beautiful nickname. It sounds like they call me Blanc, which I later realized just meant white. And there was like, I don't know, like all of a sudden 50 kids on the ground trying to give me a fist bump. And the teacher got very nervous because there was a lot of pushing and shoving. And she told everybody in Creole, please put your bodies in your chairs. And they did. And so one little boy had his body in his chair, and he was just about to give me his fist bump, but he didn't get a chance to. He didn't seem discouraged. And kind of like Cain, he thought, and he went, and he hopped across the room, and he gave me his fist bump. And what Nirvan was saying about every kid being gifted, every kid has superpowers. They have superpowers. And they can use those superpowers to do unbelievable things if we recognize the superpowers, we celebrate the superpowers, and we nurture the superpowers. Because I shudder to think about what someone like Cain, what would happen to him if his dad said, stop playing with the stupid cardboard. Nobody wants to play in your stupid arcade. Haven't you realized you've been open all summer and nobody's come? See, imagine the superpower of a kid to have so much positivity, so much exuberance, so much joy and desire to connect with somebody that they weren't going to let a rule stop them from doing so. And then to realize they had so much creativity that they realized, I know exactly how to keep my body in my chair and still get to form a connection. And not only that, but to have the courage to do it. And I was real worried about what the teacher was going to do because we live in an environment where we like to sometimes squash superpowers because superpowers are a pain in the ass. And so as adults, we may squash them. But this teacher said, oh, I'm sorry, I should have been more specific. Can you please keep your bodies in your chairs? And can you please keep your chairs right where they are? But that was a good one. You smell and you gave him a hug. We realized, wow, this kid's got it. Because he got superpowers, part one, but it's an environment that nurtures superpowers. I want to share one other story. I got 3 minutes to do so? All right, cool. So I don't know if y'all are aware of a neuroscientist by the name of Jaak Panksepp. Does anyone know Jaak Panksepp's work? It was amazing neuroscience, and he was studying creativity and play in mammals. Really simple, and he took young rats and realized if you take a young rat and you put them in an unenriched environment, the neurons in their brains don't grow. The dendrites don't grow. They just sit in their cage and they have nothing to do and no one to play with. But if you take those same young rats and you put them in what he calls an enriched environment, which just means a cage with other young rats in the cage and stuff to play with. Maybe a piece of cardboard, a little paper towel cylinder. Maybe a little ball to push around. Maybe some levels to climb on. But if you put those young mammals in an enriched environment, when you look at the dendrite development in their brain at the end of their lifespan, it's rich. They have rich neural networks. And they're smarter in every area than other rats. So they can navigate their ways through mazes, rats that grow up in an enriched environment, but rats in an unenriched environment can't navigate through a maze. Rats in an unenriched environment, they can't tell the difference between a friend or foe. They can't connect or know what to do with other rats. But rats in an enriched environment, they can tell. They can read social cues. And then what Panksepp wanted to do, which was brilliant, well, he didn't do it intentionally, but it was brilliant. He started to study playful rats, and he noticed all their play behaviors were very similar to human play behavior. Very primal. They didn't need any technology. They actually just like to chase each other, catch each other, and wrestle each other. And then when they wrestle each other, they let each other go, and then the wrestler becomes the chaser becomes the wrestler, and they learn how to negotiate that kind of exuberant rough and tumble play. And they explore, they seek. So what happened one day is he sees all the play behavior of the rats, and he notices that the play went down to 0. And they wondered, how did the play go down to 0? And one of the lab technicians who came in had a cat. And they brought cat hair into the environment. They didn't realize, but they brought cat hair, and there was a cat hair in the cage, and all the rats, once they sensed the cat hair, they immediately ceased playing. Their play behavior went to 0. And then Panksepp said, okay, well, I got an idea. Let's clean the cat hair out. Let's get them in the environment, make sure now that we recognize what the threat stimulus is. Let's clear it out. Let's put the rats back in, and what do you think happened to the play? Never went back up. Never went back up. Which made Panksepp conclude that once a young mammal, in this case a rat, is exposed to a life-threatening stressor at a formative time in their development, their play behavior changes forever. So we had shared this at Playmakers with a preschool teacher in Gulf Coast of Mississippi after Katrina, and she stood up. And she said, well, let me tell you something, young man. Those rats, they ain't never had a preschool teacher like me. All right? And we started to realize, yes, that is the work. That is the work of a more playful society. There's 2 things. Number one, people, what are we doing to create enriched environments for kids? 2 jobs of playmakers in the world. And by the way, playmaker means anyone who's invested in helping kids to grow up feeling safe, loved, and joyful, and is willing to make a life-changing impact in a kid's life. Like you did for Kane, like Kane's dad did, like some of Kane's teachers probably did. 2 things, build enriched environments, and the second thing, be an expert at cat hair detection. And when you see cat hairs, remove them from the environments. And cat hairs aren't always physical. Sometimes cat hair is just criticism. Cat hair is making somebody feel isolated, someone feel less than. Because what we're all in here that care about kids is we're in the life-changing relationship business. It is all about relationships. When we start thinking about what do we want to put in kids' hands, how about another hand? Now, it's big. The technology, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful way, and it is a tool. And as Gatemouth Brown, great guitar player, said, the music is not in the guitar. You give an artist a guitar, they play some incredible music. You give an artist, a playmaker, some of the technology that you guys have and some of the stuff that you're talking about, they will make magnificent art, and they will use it as a tool to continue their job about building life-changing relationships with children. I know I'm out of time. Is that we good still? So what I want to say, I came in here thinking I didn't know what to think about. I was excited to be invited, grateful to be invited and have some time, and I thought about all these unbelievable things like the Viewmaster and the new augmented reality. One of the ways I also think that we need to augment reality is think about where all the cat hair is and all the barriers and how we're going to create safer, more loving, more joyful environments where we can bring these great tools in and succeed in making life-changing relationships with kids. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all. Thank you.